Hey everybody, it is Carla Webb and welcome to this week's episode of If You Only Knew. So I'm the host, Carla Webb, Christian life coach, and this is my guest today, Kana Brown. Many labels. I put the umbrella of entrepreneur because you are that. You are the owner of the beauty room, but you are also just all things magic. You are, and anybody that knows her knows that to be true. And you are dipping your toe into a few other adventures right now also. Tell us a little bit about that. What are, besides the beauty room, what else do you have going on right now?
So at the beauty room, that's kind of a new adventure as I'm kind of turning into a business owner versus just being the only esthetician there. So that's an exciting new step for that. So skincare, makeup, waxing. And then I had a magazine for 4 years, and I'm kind of taking bits and pieces of what I loved about that, curating photo shoots, helping women start their businesses and things of that nature, and kind of, I don't know what I'm going to do with it exactly, but I'm going to help people do those things.
Well, whatever you decide to do with it, it will be magic and it will help a lot of people. And I met you through Tuesday Talk.
Yeah.
So there was a time period where you offered an opportunity for women to get together and just, you would pose a question or have a particular topic. And I had not started, the thought of becoming a life coach at that point wasn't even on my radar. I just knew that I wanted to make connections with new people. And I saw it posted on Facebook and I thought, okay, this sounds like something that is so exciting. And I literally walked into a room where I knew absolutely no one, not one single person. And some of those women that I met there through Tuesday Talk are some of my most precious friends that I have to this day. Yeah, so I walked in there knowing nobody. And some of my very close friends right now that I spend time with I met at Tuesday Talk. So I want to thank you for that.
Yeah, I think that is my favorite thing, is just to create spaces for women to connect. I mean, it's hard when you get old.
Old. You're not even
Older.
30. She's not even 30.
I mean, in my soul.
In my
I'm
soul.
Way older. But as you get out of school age and go into real adult life, it's just really hard to make friends. So yeah, Tuesday Talk was awesome for me. It was awesome for my business. And yeah, I know a few people that have made best friends there.
Yeah. So. Amy Boucher, that's right. We met at Tuesday Talk.
Aww,
yeah.
I love it.
Yes, and she's one of my nearest, dearest friends to this day. Amy is fantastic. So the premise of this show is we have a couple of questions that I ask each one of my guests. And I'm really excited to hear your answers because
I'm not prepared.
Well, good, no, because if you follow Kana at all on Instagram or social media, what I love about her is that she puts her life out there and you get to follow along, be a voyeur, and be along for the ride. And you are in a pretty new relationship. And dare I say, you're in love.
Yeah, he's great.
He's great.
Yeah, all my friends are in shock. They're just like, what is happening?
So, and this was about relationships. So the first question that I have for you is, and if you could go back and be your own best friend, now that you have some wisdom on you, what would you tell yourself? What would you go back and tell yourself?
About relationships.
About relationships, yes.
Gosh, it's hard to imagine doing that because like everything that I went through has gotten me to where I am now. So it's almost like you don't want to change anything.
Right.
So I don't know. And I've been in an abusive relationship. That was my very first serious relationship. And a lot of people will be like, I'm so sorry you went through that. But at the end of the day, it really helped shape who I am. So,
well, explain that, because how can going through an abusive relationship, of course we don't want anybody to have to go through that, but unfortunately that's a reality for me, that's a reality for you, and it's a reality for a lot of people out there, not just women. And so whenever we say we learned a lot from it and it has helped shape our relationships now, how do you mean that? What did you learn from that?
Well, I was very young,
Mm-hmm.
and I was raised very sheltered.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of turned 18 and went just a little bit crazy. But this particular boyfriend had already had a child,
Mm-hmm.
and so then there was that whole drama.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, having to interact with his family and her and him, like, you just get put in so many situations that you would.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had to be in those situations ever again. That it forces you to see the best and worst side of yourself, and like take that person removed and just visualize those feelings. It's like I was forced to deal with those feelings and say, is this really the type of person that I want to be? Out of my reactions towards what was going on, it made me face like, this is not the type of person I want to be, as well as this is not the type of person I want to be with. This is not the type of person I would want my children to be around. Like, there are just so many ways that it was like, oh, this is a very teachable moment once I was able to not be drowning in the emotions. So it also made me a stronger person. Once I was out of it, I had very clear boundaries. Going into your first relationship, you just are like, I'm in love. And, you know, when stuff happens, you just take the punches. But after that, and as I've gotten older, it's like, here are the things I will tolerate and here are the things that I won't. And I can't say that I would want, I don't know, a different path from that.
That's very interesting, because what I do when I work with women is coming to that point where you take a step back and say, I do not want to repeat this cycle. What can I learn from it? Who am I? Who do I want to be? And what are my boundaries? And what am I willing to accept? And what am I not willing to accept? And so the fact that you establish that, and without having to repeat the cycle over and over again until the third, fourth, fifth bad relationship, and you're like,
well, there were some bad ones, but they weren't in that way.
But hopefully not abusive.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that every relationship was great after that. But if you have been in an abusive relationship, if you can take a step back and say, you know, this isn't who I want to be. I don't want to be someone who's in these kinds of relationships.
Like, if you can't even, because sometimes you're just not there. Like, you're just so swallowed by your emotions, you couldn't imagine, you know, like, what do I really want? It's like, I can't even think about that. But it's like, if you saw your best friend in that situation, your sister, your mother, like, would you want them to stay in it? And sometimes it takes seeing someone else or visualizing someone else that you love in that same situation and be like, girlfriend, no. And it's like, why am I accepting that?
Well, that's where that, if you could go back and be your own best friend, because I remember being we had this major blow up, and I remember sitting there thinking to myself, Carla, if you were your own best friend, you would tell yourself to get out. And what you said, like, if this was your mother or your sister or your, you know, someone you love going through this, you would give them different advice than what you were accepting for yourself. Yes. All right. So the second question then on this journey is, what is a truth that God has revealed to you about yourself?
I feel like a lot, like every year, sometimes every day, it's like something new. But I would say that gift of connection over the years, it's like, instead of thinking it's a coincidence, it's like, oh no, like, this is something that God has instilled in me, and this is the thing that I should be sharing with others. It took a very long time to see that. It's like, oh, not everyone just like creates spaces for people and everyone becomes best friends. Like, that doesn't happen all the time. Or just the serendipity of, I met this person and this person and introduced them, and they both were wanting to do whatever. Like, over the years, it's like, okay, so God wants me to connect people. I'll continue to create spaces so that I can do that.
Well, that's amazing. You know, because that is, God is about relationship, and about relationship on that spiritual connection and creating relationships with other people. So I think that's fantastic that you have learned to create that space. And whenever she says create a space, and I throw that word magic out there, she really does. You really do have the word knack is so you know, it doesn't describe it well enough, but you have this something within you that does just naturally create some breathing room for people to connect and get to know each other. I think
a lot of that stems from like kind of the business that you're in now, excuse me, is that kind of the pains you go through and grow through is kind of your message to the world. So it was really hard for me to find spaces when I was younger that I felt comfortable in. So all I want now is for people to feel like they have a place to belong, whether that's in the beauty room or at an event that I'll throw. Like, I just want people to feel welcomed.
And speaking of the beauty room, if you have not gotten a facial from this woman, you have not lived. Because not just creating space for people, but whenever you go into the beauty room and you get it is not just a facial. It is an experience. And dare I say, a spiritual experience.
So, like, giving facials has been a whole spiritual journey for me. I know some people can just like tap into that, but the physical aspect of it kind of helps ground me so that I can feel more spiritual. But yes, having that space, and for me, I believe God, the spirit, is the faucet or the water, and I'm the faucet. So when I can channel, I'm literally just being that tool that someone can use to tap into their healing process.
Well, it is an amazing experience. I highly recommend it to everyone to get a facial from Kana at the Beauty Room, which is located at Haney's Corner downtown. And you can, your website is?
The Beauty Room, EDD, as in the abbreviation for Evansville.com.
And you can go to her website, schedule, when you get off here, go schedule. Just do it. Go schedule an appointment and you will not be disappointed. So, well, Kana, I thank you for being my guest today. I thank you for creating space for me to meet you and so many other amazing women. And I thank you for what you do for our city of Evansville. One of the faces of E is for Everyone, by the way. One of the beautiful faces. And I just thank you for all that you do. You're phenomenal. Yay. So, hey, know that I want to thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this and you want other people to see it, will you please share it? Will you please like and share it and let other people know that every Monday at 12:30 that they can come into this space and they can learn a little bit more about creating healthy relationships and walking on their spiritual journey and what truths God is speaking into their lives. So I ask you to share this, get the word out, and tell someone about it. And as always, I want you to know that God loves you, know that I love you, and you have a great day. Bye.